All right. So, hi everybody, it's Zane with Sailing Views, and today I have Scott Nixon. Now, Scott is a really good sailor. He's done some amazing things. He also is a sailmaker and a great salesman for Quantum Sails. So, with that, how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great, Zane. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you doing this, and it's been fun to watch all your entertaining interviews the last couple weeks. Really good job.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. I'm trying to bring it from the low budget, in the living room of my house. So I actually came up with a screen, and I'm getting low. I got an intro now, so it's
Yeah,
picking
I
up.
like it. Alabama style. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very worried about the screen though, because my cat seems to want to attack this sail, and so I'm waiting for one of these videos. This whole thing's going to come tumbling down. All right. So with all that said, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get started sailing? How'd you get into the sport?
Yeah, I started out at a young age and was fortunate enough to come up with a family that was had sailors on both sides. Both my grandparents were sailors. I grew up down in Newport News, the Hampton Roads area, which is the southern Chesapeake Bay. For people who don't know that, it's where the bay opens up and goes out into the Atlantic Ocean. So we're right there near Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Hampton, that whole area, and just a great family with a lot of sailing. My grandparents both sailed, had boats. My dad was a big sailor, so I basically grew up at the yacht club. I remember getting dropped off at 6 a.m. for swim practice, doing that, having breakfast, and going to sailing camp, and then sailing in the afternoon, doing evening racing, and getting picked up at 8 p.m. at night. So I did that pretty much my whole youth.
Very nice. All right. So, I don't know how we missed each other growing up, but when did you suddenly become good? How did you become famous? How did this all happen?
Well, I don't think it's really happened. It's I don't know how we did. I did a lot of southern bay sailing here, and we sailed in Chesapeake and came to Annapolis, but I didn't really travel too much.
Yeah.
Did local sailing, sailed sunfish and FJs growing up, like a lot of us did, and then in high school, I played sports, football and baseball, and then my last year, I kind of took a hiatus in high school and started sailing a lot. And I sailed with a local college team there, Christopher Newport University, and
Hmm.
would go over to ODU and practice with those guys, and kind of got into college sailing, and went to St. Mary's College and sailed there and really got into sailing, and knew it was something I liked. And I don't think I really had talent. I just was able to work at it really hard, and I enjoyed the process of working at it, and really enjoyed the college experience, and it went on from there.
All right. So you're saying you're not good and you didn't have a whole bunch of talent. You had to work hard at it. Okay. Now there are very many people around that would beg to differ. I think I remember seeing a picture somewhere online or in a magazine that had the name Nixon Rules, and it was a bunch of girls on a J24. Now, were they named that after you?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
come
hope
on.
not, anyway.
All right. So, what is some of the best things you've done in sailing? What kind of regatta or what trips have you done that have been really memorable?
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate. I've worked with Quantum for a long time now, since probably 1999, 2000. So, I've had a great experience and been able to sail with a lot of different clients with a lot of different backgrounds. And obviously, I've done a lot of the one design boats and the different classes that have come up through the years, the FAR 30s, FAR 40s, all the J boats, like, I've sailed forever, J22s, J24s, J80s, all those things. But I've been fortunate to work with some really great families and great clients, and some of the memorable ones are Deneen DeMarcus and John DeMarcus had a FAR 30 program called Gruvaderci. Sailed with them forever. Probably did my favorite regatta was the 2010 Tour de France, and in France, we did that tour around France, sailed down the Atlantic coast, put the boats on trailers and sailed through the Med, and that was just an awesome experience. Great team, a lot of great friends. Got to sail in Europe and did that whole thing. It was 4 weeks, so you really kind of lost yourself into sailing. That was a lot of fun. Probably one of the most memorable events I did. But I sailed with the DeVos family and Meldus 32s. A lot of different campaigns in the Meldus 24 with great customers all over the world, and getting to do a little bit of TP52 sailing now, which I'm really enjoying, and working with a program that's building a new boat right now that hopefully is going to get shipped to the U.S. here next couple of weeks. So it's been exciting.
Very nice. All right. So you mentioned definitely that Tour de France sounds like an excellent regatta, and that sounds like one of your favorites. Have you had a really bad regatta, a really horrible event that just sticks out in your mind?
I've had way too many of those to even think about. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. You always remember the good ones, but the bad ones. I don't know. They stick with you for a long time. It's that passion to not lose that keeps it going. But I don't know. So many events, where you just get frustrated. One event that really was frustrating was the first Meldus 20 Worlds. I sailed with a great team, Travis Weissletter and John Bowden, and we trained really hard, worked really hard, and we're winning the regatta pretty much through half the week. I think we had a 20-point lead on Wednesday, with Friday being the last day, and then the other teams kind of caught up to us towards the end of the regatta, and we ended up losing by a couple points and ended up, I think, third overall in that Worlds. But that was it was going to be our first Worlds win, and we were excited about that. But it slipped through our fingers. But that was a tough one to swallow.
Yeah, that definitely would hurt. All right, so what's one of your favorite places to sail? 'Cause I know you've been just about everywhere. So
Yeah, I mean, it's we get so fortunate. We get to sail in all the good spots during the right time of year. San Francisco in the fall is awesome. In Southern Florida, Miami, and the Keys, and we do all the Meldus circuits down there in Miami. That's really nice in the wintertime when it's cold up here. And in the summertime, normally about now, people are trickling up to Charleston and Annapolis and then to Newport for the summer. But I really enjoyed Key West back in the day. Sailing down there in January, great winds, great waves, great town, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Key West.
yeah. All right, so oh Lord, I had a whole different question I was going to ask you, but it's my mind's a blank. So I guess I'll go back to my list here. All right, what's yeah? Since I completely messed up this one, but we're going to go back to what is the strangest thing you've seen floating?
Strangest thing I've seen floating. It wasn't too long ago. A couple of years ago, we did the Bermuda race with a great customer, Dev McGranahan, on his boat called the Dream Crusher, and I was watch captain, and I think maybe the first or second night out, we thought we saw a piece of trash or debris in the water, and we were like, no big deal. It looks like one of those, balloons or a piece of trash floating. So we kind of sailed really close to it. Well, that was a mistake. It ended up being a part of an old fish trap that was broken off, and we basically parked with the sails up. It was only blowing probably 10 to 15 knots, but ended up stopping, having to drop sails and back down and get it and clear the keels. So that was not good.
No, that wouldn't be that good. All right, so what's your best role on a boat? Well, I mean, I know you're pretty famous for being just a superstar tactician, but do you do other jobs? Or, I mean, what do you think your strong suits are?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people say, I mean, I really enjoy working with customers and the owners, and I've done a lot of owner-driver sailing, so and being a sailmaker and working with our design team on updating our sails. I really enjoy being a main trimmer and working with the owner-drivers. On the TP now, I get to do that and work with the owner or whoever happens to be driving the boat at the time. So I think that's my best role.
Okay. All right. So, gosh, boy, it's so hard to interview you, Scott, because I see you so much, and I don't really know what all to ask you. All right. So, what's one of the best maneuvers you've pulled off? I mean, have you made some just amazing start, some amazing finish, mark rounding? Have you done anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been some memorable ones, but one that I really was proud of, I was looking through some stuff the other day when we were doing a talk, and the 2016 Meldus 32 Worlds are in Newport, and it was super breezy, and we sailed with a team called Volpe, run by Ryan DeVos for a long time, and we never won a Worlds. We probably sailed the boat for 5 years in a row. We're always on the podium, but never could win one, and finally in Newport, it was a really windy regatta. It blew 20 plus for probably a week straight up there. Really cold, really windy, but fun sailing. And going the last day, we were battling out with Argo, one of our arch rivals back in the day, with Cameron Appleton and the guys. And we had a really bad beginning of the morning of the last day and dropped a few points. But then the second race, we got back again a little bit. But, Mark Windelblatt was a tactician. He called for a jibe set, and it was ripping. It was probably 25, 30 knots. And it takes a big group and a good group to pull that off. And we nailed a killer jibe set. Took off on a big shift and passed like 8 boats, got back to the lead, and that helped us win the regatta. So I was really proud of that. The boys did a great job in that one.
Yeah. All right. Why no Olympics for you? Why didn't you ever do that?
Well, I did do a campaign when I graduated St. Mary's College. Lived here in Annapolis for a little bit. And then in 1996, I sailed with basically two buddies here from Annapolis in the Soling, and we campaigned. We actually made the U.S. team just because we did all the traveling and did all the events. Had a little bit of funding. Had a new boat built and did well, but our it was basically kind of an owner driver program where the driver was a super nice guy, a guy from Baltimore, and we ended up doing the trials, and I think we were eighth or ninth or something at the trials. But just a great experience getting involved with seeing Terry Hutchinson and Ed Baird and Jeff Madrigali's when he won the bronze medal. It's fun to be around all those guys, and I really learned a lot.
Yeah. Did you make it to Savannah?
We did the trials in Savannah, but that's as far as we went. We didn't make it past that.
Yeah. Did you make it? Did you have to go to the barge, or how did that work for you guys?
No, we sailed. We kept the boats up the river, so we all, once we got down there, I remember when we first got there, we saw these guys rigging their boats in the bug suits, right? Because the no-see-ins and all the bugs are eating everybody alive. I mean, you guys are down there with the lasers, but we ended up, chartering a power boat, and I think we had our girlfriends basically hook us up and tow us out, an hour and a half out to the ocean every day, and then an hour back in. And
Yeah.
I had a good buddy who we brought down there to do it, and we just had to make sure we had a 12-pack of beer in the boat ride for him to drive the boat in and out every day.
Yeah. That was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's your favorite boat? Now I know you race 70s or 24s, 32s, 52s. You race pretty much everything. What's your favorite boat?
Yeah, I mean, I love the apparent wind sailing. I love working with bigger teams, but once you get off on a TP52 and get the right sail combination up and ripping downwind and big waves, I mean, that boat is hard to beat. The power to weight ratio is just amazing. You sheet really hard. The jibs get sheeted to 4 degrees, and boats go upwind at 8.6 to 9 knots, and downwind they're really fast, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're going too fast to slow down and look at the fun meter.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big boat, but it sails like a small boat. It's a lot of fun. Really, really rewarding.
Yeah. All right. So, what are your future plans? Do you have any regattas scheduled that might come back, or what have you got planned up here in the next couple months?
Yeah, we're crossing our fingers. Obviously, every day you turn on the computer and see what regattas are being postponed or canceled. But we're all hopeful. I think it's going to be slow for a while this summer, and then this fall should come back on pretty well. But I think the Meldus 20 circuit will start again in the wintertime. 24s will come back a little bit. Not sure the Worlds will happen this year, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But we're building with this customer Victor Wild and the program manager Kieran Searle, a really good buddy of mine. We're putting together this new 52, and it's been being built in Spain and getting shipped over here next couple of weeks. So it should be here mid-June. So our plan is to hopefully go sailing if we can get into Newport and get released and go sailing out there. Get the boat tuned up. We're campaigning the boat and built the boat for the IRC ORC Worlds that are supposedly going to be in Newport in September or October, which they haven't been canceled yet. So the boat was built for that, and we're geared to do that. So we'll either do that or sail somewhere in the country, we hope. But that should be the immediate goal.
All right. That sounds like one heck of a good goal. Okay, so who were some of the big influences? Who helped you out? Who really made you, become the sailor you are?
Yeah, well, growing up on the East Coast, we all had mentors and guys, and Terry Hutchinson was just ahead of me in college, and I followed him and overlapped him a couple of years, and then got to work with Quantum, and he got me involved, and then was able to. We bought a Meldus 24 together and did a campaign together and had a lot of fun. So he was a huge influence. Being an East Coaster and coming through Annapolis, Gary Jobson always plays a big part in all of us. Just watching him and how he conducted himself. So yeah, those two guys probably be a big part. And I had a really special coach in college, Adam Werblow, who was really good, super nice guy. Learned a lot from him, and he kind of instilled work ethic. And the harder you work, the better you get. So it was fun to stay with him.
Yeah, I remember Adam. Okay, so what are your thoughts on the America's Cup? With the new foiling boats, do you miss the dial-up days, or are you excited to see them foil, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see the America's Cup go where it's gone. It's the technology is amazing. The boats are really cool. You talk to the sailors, a couple of the grinders that sail in our 52 or sailing with Terry and the guys on American Magic. So fun to hear their stories and see their eyes when they bear away and hit 40 knots. It's pretty crazy. I would just love to see the event be a little more cost effective and have more boats involved, and whether the boats are 24 footers or 100 footers. It'd just be neat to see more boats in more countries and more national sailors out there.
Yep, I totally agree. Um, all right, so what kind of ideas do you have that the somebody might be watching this video? What kind of ideas do you have on growing the sport of sailing? What can we do to get more people involved and active, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's tough. I know. I mean, I have two kids now, and they do a lot of different sports now. They do fencing and um, gymnastics, lacrosse. We've done it all. Acting, there's so many different activities and sports that it's hard to get them focused. And they sail locally here in Annapolis Yacht Club. They do the junior program every summer for a couple weeks, and it's just tough. I think when we were growing up, it was a little different. I don't know if you sail with your family, but we grew up on the weekend. We all hopped on the boat and we threw all our stuff on the boat and sailed to a yacht club, did a regatta, lived on the boat, and then came home on Sunday. And so that was kind of our family trip. So maybe if we made sailing a little more family friendly, a little more low key, we'd get some of the local racing back. So I think maybe with all this COVID-19 stuff, one of the opportunities is for the local sailing to come back. I don't think we're going to be flying people in from all over the world to come do regattas now. So local people will be able to do some sailing in their own towns and hopefully make it more of a family friendly and get sailing going back that way, to kind of grow it that way.
Yep, I totally agree. I think getting the family involved, getting just more fun activities, and I don't know, if we can just get more people down there, let them see how much fun it is, or remind them how much fun they used to have, I think that'd be a good help.
That's a great idea.
So what do you think about women's sailing? I mean, what can we do to help the sport, or do you think it's fine, or what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at women's sailing over the past 10, 15 years, it's gotten bigger. There's a lot of women that have really hit the high levels of sailing. I know at Quantum, we still support the female collegiate sailor of the year with the Quantum Award, which is a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
When I graduated St. Mary's College, I coached at the College of Charleston, where I was the women's sailing coach for a couple of years, and learned a lot about women and women's sailing. And it was fun to watch those guys, how they treat the sport and how they attack it. And they're just as aggressive as men. And I think women's sailing has grown a lot. I think it's still growing. I think to make it more fun, we just need to kind of get the kids out there and expose them at a young age, and kind of keep it fun at a younger age and not get them into racing too early, but make it fun so they kind of treat it as a lifetime sport, not just a quick, race in, get out of there and take off.
Yep. I coached a lot of women, back at this time, I guess they were still girls. They're between like 15 to 17.
Yeah.
And I spent a little over a summer, a really long summer working with these girls. And I tell you, their drive and their desire to be better than the boys was just amazing. And I've never seen sailors, anybody that I've coached, work that hard just to try to prove something to the boys around here. And I loved it. And ever since then, I've always said, all right, give me some hungry girl. She'll be the best one on the boat. She'll be the hardest working one. And, for years I sailed with, Flying Scots a lot. That was kind of our YRA boat.
Yeah. And
I had two girls. They were my crew. And that's the only two people I sailed with for years. And they were better. They just worked harder. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So let me get back to the list here. Because like I say, I'm running out of questions for you. All right. What kind of advice do you have for new sailors? I mean, how do they get started? How do people that don't know anything just jump right in?
Yeah, I think my advice is obviously keep it fun. And I think the biggest things that I see with my kids, if you can, when sailors get involved in the sport, if they can do it with their buddies and bring some friends in, obviously you're going to meet some new people, but there's a comfort level with being around people that you like and get along with. So if you do it as groups of people and groups of friends, I think that'll kind of help the whole thing, make it more fun and kind of keep it going.
I got you. All right, so I've got a sailmaker question.
Oh boy.
What are your thoughts on these new black sails that everybody's using? I know Quantum has the APX, and then the North has the 3DI or whatever they're all labeled. Doyle has everybody's got a different version of it. To me, they seem stiffer, stronger, and last longer. But what's your take on them?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've learned a lot. I mean, obviously, black is just a color of the sails, and a lot of that's marketing from different companies that have gone that route, and now we've gone that route. But our VX skins are really awesome. I mean, from your experience and what I've seen, just in the Meldus 24 class alone, the sails are lasting a lot longer. And I know in the Meldus 20, I have a couple guys that used to sail with our competition and now sail with our sails, and they're like the sails are lasting twice as long as the competitors are. And I think for us, the biggest reason is the sails are shrinking a lot less. We've done some measurements recently for some guys getting new ORC certs, and I've just done a few tests on those 24 sails and their durability. And some of the problem with sails in the past is when they shrink, they get smaller. And if you sell your Meldus 24, you want the biggest main, the biggest jib you can put on the boat legally. So the sails are shrinking probably 7% less than they have in the past with the old clear matte membrane film. So that's a huge part of the durability. And the lamination, Quantum's worked really hard on lamination. It's gotten a lot better. So durability's there, and we've seen it, trickle down from the TPs and the cut boats and the stuff we're doing little boats. The sails are really nice now.
Yeah. So what kind of design influence have you had on like Melja sails? I know you've been involved in that class for a while, and you've been really working hard with Quantum on that. Have you had a lot of input on the design and shape on them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around Quantum for basically day one with the Meldus 24. So, I mean, my job with Quantum is I'm a liaison between the designers and being on the water and getting the stuff to production to kind of update the sails. So, yeah, so like in the Meldus 20, for example, we have Brett Jones as our sail designer. He and Doug Stewart work at the computer at home on the designs. We sail with them as teams, and I get the data from the teams, the feedback, and we get it back to those guys, and our sails and shapes evolve over time. We try to move the product forward every year. Meldus 24, the class you sail in a lot. We have Carlo Fraccasoli, who's an awesome designer now, 3-time world champion. So, he's taken his designs and kind of updated them, and we've changed fiber and have the new skins. We test spinnakers. We're doing a lot of things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see, and then that's how we get the end product. And the classes we do well at, we do all that work, and it really pays off.
Yeah. All right. So, what other boats are you involved in? I mean, you keep naming this Transpac 52. Have you done a lot of those, or are you just now getting in the 52s, or?
Yeah, I mean, I sailed with a team called the Interlodge for a while. We did the Super Series. We did a couple events when they had the U.S. tour a while ago. We did, Key West and Miami. Did a few regattas in Europe. I sailed with them. The first 52s I've sailed with, and then Victor Wild he had a boat, Pac 52. We did a couple years in that. We did all the distance races, the Sorcy campaign down in Florida. We did the Cuba race, set a record to Cuba. It was a lot of fun. Knocked 2 hours off the record. Averaged like over 20 knots, hit 29 knots down the Gulf Stream doing ripping on that boat. So that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, and then geared up for the new boat to do another season. So yeah, done quite a bit.
All right. Now, is that going to keep you in Europe a lot, or are you going to be? I mean, you said that what the Worlds are in, and the ORC is in Newport. I mean, are y'all going to ship it back to Europe and do the whole traveling circuit with the group, or?
Yeah, no, this boat was built as a optimized IRC ORC 52. It's not a one design Super Series boat. They haven't built a boat in a couple of years for that Super Series. The class of boats they use. So it's not a one design boat by any means. So it's strictly a performance handicap boat.
Okay.
But there's a lot of the old boats have made it out to the U.S. and to the Great Lakes. They have a great fleet out there. So there's a couple events out there. Hopefully that happen later this summer, in the fall before the World. So there's a good fleet out there. Could be 6-7 boats sailing out in the Great Lakes, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen if any of these boats have made it up to the Great Lakes. Think I've seen maybe one or two, but I don't know if there's a convergence there, kind of like there was with the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. There is now. There's like 7 boats out there. The old Fox is out there. The old Quantum Racing. Bob Hughes has the Heartbreaker, which is the old Allegra. So there's a lot of good boats out there. It could be a good series.
Yeah, so that's interesting to know, because I don't, obviously I'm not being asked to go on a 52, so I don't follow them that much. But yeah, this seems like a good boat to be in. Did you ever get into the FAR 40s or 1D35s or 1D48s? Did you ever get to race on any of those boats?
Yeah, I didn't do the 48s. I did a couple events crewing on those, but I did the 1D35s, sailed with a bunch of teams. That was one of the Quantum's first really big offshore one design classes when the company started, so we did a lot with that. I sailed, it was the first time I met the DeVosses and sailed on the WindQuest. And I think John Bertrand was a tactician. I was the jib trimmer, so I remember doing the big boat series out there, doing 100 tacks down the seawall, fighting the flood tide and the ripping westerly, just getting abused as a young kid. That was fun. But yeah, I did the FAR 30s, the FAR 40s, sailed with a local guy here in Annapolis, Rod Jabin on the Ramrod, did that circuit, did 2006 Worlds in Newport. So yeah, done all that.
All right. Now, I asked you on your favorite place to sail, which you kind of narrowed down to Key West. All right. Pick one place. You got a plane ticket in hand. You got a boat. Everything's dialed in. Where do you go? You get on the plane tonight. You're going.
Yeah, I can hear my kids running around in the background here, so I better say the BVIs. They love going down the BVIs. Every 2-3 years, we go down there and charter a big catamaran and head down the BVIs and do a lap around Tortola. So that's probably the place we're gonna. Yeah. When all this clears up and we're back to normal, I think that's probably where we'll go.
Yeah. You go hit Bitter End. You know, I hear they've got Bitter End just about rebuilt. Yeah, I used to go down there and do the Bitter End Invitation. I don't know, some regatta down there. Actually, I had kind of stopped sailing for a couple of years and went down there and started sailing with this guy Mark Plaxton, and they had the Pro-Am and all that stuff. Well,
yeah,
we had gone down and we were sailing this big cruising boat, doing the circuit, and one of the 70s was down there, and their crew showed up, and they were all hot, mess and talking all this crap. And I don't know, we ended up getting in a bet over a laser, right? Saying, "No, I'll kick your butt," kick your butt. They're all, beating their chests and saying how good they were, and especially compared to us, as we're on a, Jeanneau 52 cruising boat. We ended up going to Bitter End, got a boat for the day, and we started off, just for drinks, and then once we, as the night progressed, it was going to be like a $1,000 bet, right? To who's going to beat who on a laser, Now, unbeknownst to these poor guys, they didn't realize I was, on the U.S. sailing team and pretty damn good in lasers. Now, I hadn't touched one in a number of years, in probably 8 or 10 years, but they had no idea. And then, coming up to find out, we showed up to race them and, knocked on the boat. All right, we're here, and we're talking. Come to find out, that kid had just gotten second at the youth champs, whoever their kid was. But we went out, and it's, blowing like 7 knots, and, which is just right up my alley. Oh, I took that poor kid to school. I was one of the best in the world in that 7 to 8 knot range, and this kid was a little heavier than I was, and
nice.
It was fun. But I remember going into Bitter End. They presented us with some, they had like 100-year-old bottle of Mount Gay, and of course, we became like the spectacle for the beach. Like, the whole beach, the whole hotel, everybody came down. They started announcing. It was a good. It was fun.
Plaxton likes to have some fun. I've seen him down there having a good time.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to get him on. He wanted to make sure I had you guys on there first before he got on. Of course, if you know Mark, he decided he's going to do a 4-series part about money management, sailing, and sailing versus, I don't know.
Oh boy, that could be good. I'll definitely tune in for that one.
Oh yeah, trust me, it'll be interesting. But yeah, like I say, Tortola, great place like that. Now, are you involved in any America's Cup boats, or have you been, or do you help these guys out, or?
No, I haven't done any America's Cup stuff. Not involved with the American Magic Group. My relationship with Quantum and the stuff I do, it just kind of leads me off on the other path. So I just have never been involved. No.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's shocking. I mean, you are an amazing sailor, and I know you got more brains than most people I know. So I think they'd put you in there. But then again, there's only so many spots in the program, and they're all pretty good too. So
that's true.
All right. Well, with that, I guess I'm going to go ahead and let you get back to your kids and your wife and taking care of your day up in Annapolis. So
awesome, Zane. I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for having me on. Great job with all this. Really appreciate what you're doing for sailing, and hope to see you on the water soon, buddy.
Oh, you will. Don't you worry. And with that, everybody, this is Zane Yoder with Sailing Views. I want to thank Scott Nixon, Quantum Sails, just for allowing us to do this. So thank you very much. Like, subscribe, do all those fun things. Talk to you later. Over, out, and bye-bye.